I was reading my Wikipedia the other day, and it's still got so much in there that's just like completely made up. And I can't blame people for believing it, right? Of course, while our teachers in elementary school told us don't use Wikipedia as a source, everyone does anyways.
They
And
do, and
generally,
it's the
it's
first thing that pops up when you search. So
Yep. Yep.
Google that algorithm. It gives you that first. So like Wikipedia now says I held a conference in Moscow with Alexander Dugin, who's like a
oh,
spiritual
people love
advisor to
that guy.
Putin.
That's actually probably good. Everyone's telling us we
But I
got to.
didn't. I didn't. So I'm just like, okay, I guess I did that.
Well, I saw you had an interview with him. Is that what they're talking
It
about?
says that I did an interview and then we held a conference in
I
Moscow
see.
together.
Right.
And then it says I'm banned from PayPal, that I can no longer monetize YouTube videos, both things that aren't true. And it just, people, of course, believe these things. And then what happens is it becomes a cycle. So like Wikipedia will write it, and then they'll write it without a source, and then a journalist will go look at Wikipedia and write down what they saw in Wikipedia.
Mm-hmm.
And then when you ask Wikipedia for the source, they'll use that article to confirm itself.
Do you want to clean that stuff up?
There's no doing it. I've spoken to so many lawyers.
Yeah.
It's
there's
I've spoken to the co-founder of Wikipedia about it.
Well, I mean, there are companies that they basically go after the people that write the articles that are cited in the Wikipedia thing, and they threaten to sue them if they don't take down the article, and the people fold pretty easily. So then once the article is gone online, you can contact Wikipedia and say this source is not online, and they're forced to do it. There's specific companies that do this.
It's ridiculous. You have to go through like this channel though.
Okay, so what am I getting wrong then?
It's so much way more complicated than people think. People are like, oh, someone lied about you on the internet, why don't you sue them then? It's like, okay, so Wikipedia is edited by like hundreds to thousands of people are editing these sentences in your article, right? So, and they're all using anonymous username, like, hot dude 6969 just edited your article and called you a neo-Nazi. Well, okay, who is that? Where are they from? Which country? If they're in Canada, I can try to get a Norwich agreement, which is going to cost me a ton of money from a lawyer to basically put a discovery order onto Wikipedia to give us the guy's address and real name so that we can sue him. But then I'm going to have to get that Norwich agreement for potentially hundreds to thousands of people in this article, which is just going to cost, Jeff Bezos level of money to do. And then once you get there, well, you got to start the actual defamation lawsuit. And then in certain regions, you can only sue if there's level of malice put to it. How do you even prove malice? Pretty hard. Also, if it was edited over a year ago, most places you can't sue for defamation, has to be within the same year. So it's like, and then you've got all the articles. Well, we were citing an article. So like, then you'd have to go further and further back. Where did all the information come from? Once you've got such an amalgamation, such a spider web of information, it is actually impossible to sue because everyone has a level of plausible deniability.
I do not like the word impossible. Okay, Lauren, that word totally triggers me. Okay. Well, it's challenging, I'll admit.
No,
but I think if you had 20 grand, I think you could totally clean it up, to be honest.
Bro, do you know what mate? Do you know what the retaining cost is just for?
Well, I mean, which direction are you going though? That's the thing.
No,
all my experience,
potentially investigating a case like this.
Mm-hmm. Well, no, I looked into this. There's these companies online that do reputation management. I was curious, just how they actually go about it, because it is something that we talk about a lot. I think you actually were on Tim Pool's show and you were talking about your Wikipedia page. They have these reputation management companies have a very strategic way to go about it that is different than just contacting some lawyer that's going to sue for defamation, a defamation attorney.
So you're talking about like bots and stuff going in.
No.
Have you contacted a PR firm, Lauren?
Yes, a PR firm. That's it.
That's what's
like when Philip Morris has bad stuff on their Wikipedia page, they don't call a defamation attorney. They call a PR firm. Yes, and the PR firm has a completely different attitude.
PR firm would look at my case, like one Google of me, and be like, "That's going to be $500,000 for 2 minutes."
Yeah.
Do you think so?
I think so. I think so.
Do you
yeah.
think so?
Ma'am, there's nothing we can do about this.
I've had
There's like 40 articles saying you drowned.
Just start your own
immigrants with a
PR
flare
firm,
gun.
okay?
Well, I'm curious if
There's-
I'm just curious if you've investigated it. Like, I feel like 20K is a more realistic goal, but
I don't think so.
maybe 20K is a ridiculous.
I don't. Well, there's
Ma'am,
lots of
you want us
really.
to start with the cosplay feet pics or the killing immigrants? Where should we start?
I
We're
would
gonna need
start.
a whole lot of
Listen,
fucking money.
I'm a pragmatist. Okay, I would start with the killing immigrants. Okay, the feet pics will get
I was talking
to.
about the feet pics. I don't know what you're talking about.
The feet pics seem pretty easy to get, but it doesn't say that you kill immigrants. I read your Wikipedia page, and I got to tell you, it's insane.
Here's why. I don't think it's that easy because there's lots more, bigger names, richer people than Lauren who are slandered on Wikipedia that haven't been able to clean it up. And I'm assuming they're doing everything they can.
Such as
to clean
who?
this stuff up.
Well, there's actually there's a case of a guy that's like a billionaire that tried to sue Wikipedia, and even his case was pretty damn complicated. I'm not sure if he ever won. I have to go look back at it. From what I understand, the only person who has successfully sued Wikipedia, or one of the only successful approaches, is if you do it through Google, because Google features Wikipedia, right? So Google is not a platform. So it's not just edited by anyone. Anyone can sign up for Wikipedia and edit it, therefore making it a platform, not a publisher. So you can't sue it for defamation. But people who work for Google, they're a publisher. They choose what is published at the beginning of the page. So you can sue them. So that's the approach that I've been advised by lawyers, but it's $150K for a retaining cost just for advising.
What lawyer?
Any.
So you've talked to one lawyer or multiple lawyers? The PR firm that I talked to, I drilled them for very specifics because I'm interested in this stuff. I like politics because I like the strategy of it. But they said that they would go, so in Wikipedia, they're citing certain sources, and they basically said the weak point in those sources is usually the author, because the author is scared to death that they're going to get sued. So they go after whoever authored the article. It's a Slate article, right? They're not going to go after Slate. They're going to go after the blogger Slate paid $100 to write the actual article. And as soon as they drop a lawsuit on them, a threatening lawsuit, they're like, I want the article gone. So
most firms want to sue the actual platform because they're the one who has money. Right. And you're probably not even, if you're suing a writer who,
but this is a difference.
It was paid $100, you're going to lose hundreds of thousands.
This is a difference between an attorney who's talking about, getting a large settlement out of a case and a PR firm that's like,
it's not even getting a large settlement. It's about being able to cover your own legal costs.
Right.
You won't even be able to cover your own legal costs if you just sue the writer.
Right.
Yeah. Well, I think the issue is if you have a PR firm that would be willing to do that strategy, Adam.
They do it all day for millions of companies.
I understand.
I
this
think
is their
Adam's
business
is that the
model.
majority,
optimism is cute.
The majority of the money that they're going to get. The majority of the money they're going to get, Adam, is from the clients, and so they'd be charging a lot of money.
This is why I said, like, I asked them specific numbers.
I don't think 20 grand is enough to merit what you're talking about.
Well, they told me like 10K, but I was like, realistically, I think 20K.
For who? For you?
Well, no,
who are we talking about here?
I did it for Comicsgate. Comicsgate has a web page, has a Wikipedia page that basically said Comicsgate is all a bunch of Nazis. I called them to talk to them about cleaning up the Wikipedia page for Comicsgate. Right. And I wanted specifics on numbers and how they did it specifically. And I talked to a couple people there. They gave me the details. I'm repeating these details to you.
I see.
But they have a business model. Listen, if you're a fucking dentist in Muskogee, you've got different shit that shows up online that you want to get rid of. You have money you're going to pay for. There's companies that their business model is to clean up people's Wikipedia pages. They do this for a living.
Here's what you should do. You should
they were very specific. They were very specific. They said, listen, they're like, Wikipedia is the challenge of all challenges, but we can do it. And here's how we do it. And
So
they
you
gave
sh-
me the rundown on how they do it. They're like, here's the weakest link in the chain right here. You go after these sources. They even gave me a report on some of the sources. And I thought, this would just be fun because there are certain people. I don't know if you follow Comicsgate or whatever, but Comicsgate is like the people on YouTube that are independent comic creators, and the SJWs go crazy trying to cancel their books and call them Nazis online and write all these articles on different websites. It's a very similar situation. I'm sure you're very familiar with it, Lauren. So, but these various writers who are all just pieces of shit, fucking lying dirtbags, they write on these various websites. I think like Comic Book News is one of them. I can't remember the name of the websites, but the idea of paying an attorney to drop a fucking huge lawsuit on one of these dirtbag writers sounds cool to me. I mean, it sounds fun.
It does. It does.
So,
and I think
it would suing be nice a platform is not fun. I want to go after Rich Johnson. That guy's a fucking prick. Fuck that guy. Okay.
It would be nice if there were more lawyers willing to, I guess, volunteer their time to do that.
Lauren,
but unfortunately,
name a name. Who wrote these articles? Let's get the bastards. Come on, Lauren.
Oh, trust me, I've paid
Who
money
are some
to
of these
pursue
pieces
people
of
like this.
shit? Who are some of these writers?
Here's what you need to do, Adam. You need to get Comicsgate people to all pitch in to pay this $10,000 to see if this actually works.
Sitch, I'm way ahead of you, but we already have one crowdfunding campaign going.
Okay.
Need another water.
You sneak out. You need to get Ethan and all these people to pitch in the 10 grand to do this, because if this works, you can use this as the test case. You can show the internet. You can show the world, say this is possible. Then you'll get people like Lauren on board with doing this.
This is the thing, though. Lauren would be a much better test case because, I think the Comicsgate Wikipedia page might actually be making Comicsgate more money in the long run. I think Rich Johnson might actually be good for Comicsgate. Like that might actually be he might be the biggest money maker for us. So I don't necessarily know if it's a good idea to do it. That was my ultimate assessment when I dove into it.
But here's the problem. You have to be somewhat skeptical when you're dealing with the company that does it, because obviously they're going to say that they can successfully do this.
Sitch, do I sound 5 years old to you? I'm curious.
You do a little bit, and how you're very optimistic on this, which I like your optimism, kid, but I'm not confident.
Listen, I understand sales, okay? It's all ESG, sales bullshit, okay? I can see through sales bullshit from a million miles away, but the logic that they laid out to me doesn't sound like a bunch of flim flam to me.
No, it's all logical. I understand that.
Right.
I'm just saying I'm skeptical of it coming to fruition so cleanly the way they're putting out. Lots of people have been fighting this.
You know what I usually do in this kind of situation?
The Fine People hoax is a perfect example. Okay.
No, that's huge. What I usually do in this situation is I say, listen, I'm interested at 20K. Why don't you give me a couple of references that I can call and hear what their experience was like? And that's where I would start. But you go ahead with your what you were saying.
Well, I just, if it took basically Scott Adams had to call, the founder of Wikipedia to get the Fine People hoax fixed. And then I think shortly after it was changed back. Anyway, I don't see how what you're laying out just doesn't seem, you should try it. You should have Comicsgate try it. Have some organizations. I don't think it's going to work.
Let's see, Lauren Southern. Number one search.
I'm so black.
The Wikipedia.
Yeah, I think the problem is that a lot of our laws, at least in America, they're all based around print journalism, and they're not really based around this new internet environment where someone Googles you and the first thing that comes up is Wikipedia, and it's a bunch of fucking anonymous mods who are framing things in incredibly incendiary political ways, in very dishonest ways often.
Yeah, and the pages are locked too, so no one can go and fix it. And all of the mods that have, contradictory opinions to the leftist hegemony on there get banned. There's a really good guy on Breitbart, Devil's Advocate. He writes some articles for them about his experience getting banned from editing on Wikipedia. But yeah, I'm super black-pilled. I've spoken to too many lawyers. I've spoken to too many tech people. Like I've spoken to the co-founder of Wikipedia himself. about this all, and they've all essentially told me like you'd have to be a millionaire to even get a tiny budge on this. So I've kind of accepted.
We got to get a millionaire.
Was this co-founder the one that talks about Wikipedia being full of shit now and is totally regretful that he ever created the thing?
Yeah, Larry Sanger.
Yeah, that guy's totally cool.
He is cool.
Yeah, it's. I mean, yeah, no, it's tough, but I mean, this is how you can tell Lauren is actually a conservative. She's so defeated over this whole thing. All optimism has left the room here. She's just, okay.
I mean, I was blackpilled on Wikipedia back from the Gamergate. The Gamergate article was insane, and people were fighting over that from the beginning, and they couldn't even get
you're supposed to be on my side. You're my fucking co-host here.
Well, I'm not. They couldn't even get the Gamergate article to be fucking neutral, that's the problem. Is that Wikipedia should be a neutral encyclopedia, and if there's some controversial political figure, it just neutrally says, one side says this,
just states the facts.
Period. Right. Just the facts, ma'am, and that's it. And we can't even get that. So
Never.